bring in the new year, I want to thank everybody who's been around, who comes and watches my stuff. You guys are a very unique set of people if you want to come and listen to what the fuck I have to say. But I do appreciate it, because just knowing that most of the people who subbed me at least turn me on and look at my face every once in a while, it makes me feel like I'm not alone, even though we've been doing this quarantine thing, and I do have some holes in my quarantine plan, in my quarantine coagulant. There are some holes there that kind of fuck things up for me, but luckily I have not contracted the disease, and the way I can tell is whenever I hawk a loogie, I can still taste it. So every once in a while I'll just yeah, still got my taste buds. So I want to know how you guys are doing. How did last year come across to you? Go ahead and leave a few words down below about, just a quick summary of what you felt about last year, because I didn't really feel that much about it. It was nerve-wracking as far as this COVID thing is concerned, but I mean, if it would have happened in any year, why do we have to blame a year? I mean, and especially a year as beautiful as the 2020. Like, 2020 is like a perfect set of numbers, man. I mean, it means that your eyes are working perfectly. 2020 is a very aesthetically pleasing number as well. Kind of like 43. I like 43. 4,311. That's a really good, pleasing aesthetic number. But 2020 was, it really got a bad rap. And the same goes with a lot of things that didn't deserve it. There's a lot of people, places, even times, even numbers now that just have a bad rap because of the things that happened last year in the media. But that being said, the new year always makes me think of the past. It really does. It makes me think back to, like, what would I have done in my past differently? And I do think about that a lot. It's kind of like mental torture, actually, forcing myself to relive moments of my life that I think I would want to do differently. And those are never good moments. It's not like there's some great time in your life and you want to do that differently. No, you want to relive the great times and you want to change the shitty ones, of which there have been plenty. I've lost things. I've had things that, in a way, there's a couple good experiences that I would take away, because they didn't pan out to be good lifestyles. It didn't turn into a good life. So having that really fond memory, it kind of just burns to go back to it and remember it. There's a lot of amazing things that burn. A quote by my favorite alchemist / wizard / magician in time, Merlin. To quote Merlin, "Memories of love, they hurt. They hurt more than any sword." It's true, when you go back. That's the thing about fear. I've been afraid a lot in my life. But some would say I've pushed forward and gone farther than a lot of people in my life. And maybe I haven't reached a career level that I could brag about. Maybe I haven't reached any of the milestones that most people brag about. But I still feel like if I found myself at the pearly gates, or at a crossroads, or at a junction, if I found myself in the presence of El Diablo and he was offering me a deal, I wouldn't change who I am. I wouldn't not be me. And that's a good feeling. It really is a good feeling to have. And I want, it's something that I want everybody to look into. I want you to look inside of yourself and realize how unique your life has been. And even though it hasn't been what I guess society has written on the chalkboard as far as what a life is supposed to be, it is ultimately freeing to have an eraser in your hand and just to be able to erase it all and start your life from scratch. And that's your right. That really is your right. It's something that we don't get to take full advantage of in this world, in this society, but it is your right, your spiritual right to turn your life into whatever painting, whatever picture it is that you want it to be. When you don't get to have your ideal existence, you turn into a demon. And when you turn into a demon, you start hurting people around you. Only the humblest of people are able to handle defeat and not lash out and try to project it onto somebody else or try to experience that with another, because like they say, misery loves company. And I would disagree with that. Misery desires company, but you can't love somebody that you want to be miserable. And love is a subjective word, right? Who even knows what love really means? And you can ask a million people and you might get a million different answers. But I found that through my time, through my experiences and my connections with people, that love is a feeling that you cannot control. Love is something that happens when you are in close proximity with something that closely resembles the desires that you have for your life, the hopes that you have for your life. That's why when I ran across my old high school sweetheart, it was so insane of a situation. I was going through some stuff that made me want to just give up. And anybody who met me at that time would think, look at this loser. This guy, he doesn't want to do anything with his life. But they don't know, they wouldn't know me from before, when I had a condo full of children and a job and hopes and dreams, and things may have not been perfect, but it was just an example of the fact that Andy does things. Andy makes moves. I'm not just your typical person. There's plenty of people around that I know who, if their family was gone, they would lose everything, and they would be remiss to bring it all back. They may not be able to bring themselves back. And then I look at myself here in 2021 and I realize I don't have a support network, but I am living the way I want to live. There's a lot of people out there that I know who don't have support networks. Some of them who do or did have support networks and did something to lose that. And they can't bring themselves up on their own. Or at least they feel like they can't, so they don't even try. But I'm here to tell you, I am a tiny 5'11" weakling, and I can manage to pull myself up off the ground. I am the type of person that guys in business suits would walk by and not give a second. They wouldn't even want to talk to me, right? But somehow I managed to put myself where I needed to be to get where I needed to be so that I could enter this new year, which means nothing, but I can enter it at least halfway confident. This is confidence coming from myself, which may be ego, which is why I try to bring a lot of people around me. I want more people involved in what I'm doing. So if anybody out there has any interest at all in getting into podcasting, getting into making music, doing videos, putting yourself out there to start this new year off, to start it off new, instead of, just going into a new year, we go into a new time frame. We go into a new moment of life, a new age. Instead of going into a new year, let's go into a new age. Because it seems that a lot of the most powerful people in the world are trying to bring us into a new age anyway, right? Obviously. We've got Bill Gates saying that this pandemic quarantine situation will last into 2021. Last into 2022. So this whole year, it's going to be an obstacle course. All of last year was an obstacle course, starting early last year. Well, guys, you can make it through this, and we can make it through this. And anybody who wants to jump on over here, let me know. Hit me up, because I'm interested in not being a self-created asshole. I would like to help create something, and I've already got started, so come on in. Oh. What else? Oh, speaking of school, I went into this rabbit hole in my dreams. I've been able to control my dreams a lot recently, like to the point where that I've found areas in my mind that I have to stay away from. They're like ledges, sort of cliffs, or not really. It's like a hole in the ground. It's like a deep hole, And if I go towards that area in my dream, and it's always going towards something that is deep in my mind. I can't figure out what it is. But I dream a lot about the tunnels under TC. When I went to TC Williams, we used to skip school every day and go to the tunnels. Every day we'd go out to the tunnels. And it was this twisting, winding sewer system that started at Chinkapin Park, which was right next to TC. And then you just kind of go in the sewer, and next thing you know, you're like under TC Williams. And there was some pretty cool shit back there. It was like a place we called The Nest. We called it The Nest. And it was a spray-painted little area, a square about the size of maybe a dining room. But there was ledges all along the walls of this thing. And it was a junction where two big sewer tunnels met up and turned into the drain to go out the way we came in. And there was also a little smaller tunnel on the wall that, sometimes whoever wanted to would get up and sit in that, and that would be pretty much the most comfortable spot. Sometimes we'd go way down into the little tunnels, and we'd all sit in a line in the little tunnel and smoke joints. And this is really the only reason to go down there was to get smacked. Although the exploring aspect was something that was there. I still had that in me to be like, let's go as far as we can in these tunnels today. We got 8 hours of school? Let's go for like 4 hours and then come back. We had a lot of weird, interesting times back there. And one time this girl, Annie, pooped in the sewer tunnel. And this other kid, Andrew, slipped in it. Andrew was one of those guys. Okay, he was a redhead, pure ginger. I mean, pure pink and red ginger guy with the freckles and everything, and his hair was like an afro, and he slipped in that girl's poop. And that was, yeah, that was kind of crazy. And we were standing outside, flinging rocks at the tunnel, because, that's just how kids were back then. We like to pick on each other. So standing out there flinging rocks at this kid, and he comes out the tunnel, and one of the rocks hits him dead in the shin, and he falls over and into the water, which was just a big pool on the outside of the tunnel when you come out. So he fell in the water, and he gets up, he's screaming. And I know why he was screaming. I mean, it must have been an anguishing moment. That water was just disgusting. Runoff from all of Alexandria coming out. Not to mention, his afro was slicked down on one side from doo-doo, because there was doo-doo in his hair. And he tried to, get it out, but it just, mafiosoed his hair. He just gave himself a fucking Dapper Dan, man. And he falls into this water, and he gets up, and there's this green, film on him, and poop all over him, and his shin is just lit up from that rock that just hit him, and we all run away. And one of us steals his sword. It wasn't me, but the kid did have a sword. It was the Highlander edition sword. He got it from Chesapeake Knife and Tool, and his mom told him, don't take it outside. Keep it in the house. You're not allowed to take that outside, but he took it outside, and it got stolen, and I'm not going to say who stole it, but one of us stole it. And I will take credit for being part of the gang. And I'll also take credit for breaking it, because one of the kids slammed it into a tree and got it stuck in the tree. And as we were trying to pull it out, the handle just snapped in half. And if you know the Highlander sword, it's like a bone-looking thing. So the handle just snapped. It was a shitty sword, but whatever. Poor Andrew. I remember feeling bad for him and taking it easy on him and not wanting to be part of the whole bullying thing just because his name was Andrew. I mean, these are the biases that we have. I mean, if we can be biased to a person simply because they have the same name as us, I imagine we can be biased to all types of situations just because the people involved have similarities to us. I think maybe we should all just realize how fucking similar we are, though, right? It's crazy to think about it. And I was having a discussion with somebody today about Egyptology and the beginnings of mankind and all of this. The genes of Eve and Adam. And my personal views are a little out there, right? And a little controversial. So this guy, man, he just starts flipping out on me, calling me names, basically saying I'm a racist because I think that history may have happened a different way than people say. I've seen a lot of studies that say that the pyramids were there before. And Jesus, we're really going back into the past now. But that the pyramids were there before the modern day Egyptians, the Egyptians that were there at the time, that this used to be not a desert. Africa was not always a desert. And when the pyramids were built there, it wasn't a desert. So therefore, the need to have highly melanated skin to protect you from the sun was not a thing. So therefore, Africa was not always inhabited by black people, right? But that does not mean anything bad. That's the problem I have, man. It's I've got a bunch of these key ideas that make sense to me. And they actually, in a way, I feel slightly inferior in a lot of ways to people who are more connected to the earth than me or my people. But it is what it is. I can accept this, I can accept that I can accept my genetic differences, my genetic flaws or shortcomings. I can accept them because I know that I have genetic advances and then genetic advantages. There's things about me that are completely different from everybody around me. Yeah, it may just be a product of immigration. My people probably aren't supposed to be here. My people are supposed to be somewhere else. And if I was in my homeland where the dirt grew the vegetables that created my ancestral DNA, if I was there, I might live a better life than being here in the United States. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? I don't even know what my fucking ancestral lineage is. Man, that went way off topic. I'm talking about the past, but I'm talking about my past, not ancient Egyptians and shit like that. But we're also talking about the future, because it's one thing you can't, no matter how much you think about the past, the new year represents the future. It does not represent the past, because you can't change nothing about the past, but this year that's coming up, you can shape it any way you want. You better start shaping it, because there are people shaping it for you. We are the Play-Doh people, and there are people around you right now mushing your mind and trying to form you into what they want you to be. And it is up to you to lean against tables and use flat surfaces to shape your own face and shape your own mind and shape your own body. Think things through all the way. Use full stop thought process. Have I been lied to by this person before? Yes. Can I trust them? No. Bye. Has this person ever fucked me over? No. Can I trust them? Maybe. Let them in. Just use full stop thought process at this point, Does this whole COVID-19 lockdown quarantine situation resemble a mastermind plot to take over the world that was released many decades ago? Yes, it does. Full stop. I can't allow it now. I can't allow myself to fall for it and believe it. I can't. It's like once you learn your parents are dropping off the presents and it's not Santa, you can't go back to believing in Santa. You can't. If you do that, well, something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with you. You got brain candy. You got candy canes wrapped, twisted in your cerebellum, and you can't think straight because all the sugar is pumping in. You got candy cane dreams and candy cane visions, man, because you just want to be back in that world, You're withdrawing. You're having Santa withdrawals, so you just go ahead and lace up and fucking bang one out. Bang you up a nice vein of Santa. Oh, now I'm back in my dream world where I don't have to think about reality. I don't have to think about what's coming. I think that's the scariest part for most people, because if you really do the math and you start really critically thinking, you realize that the end game is a whole bunch of suffering and pain and possibly lots of people, being like splattered all over the place. So you just go away from that thought process. You just go away from it. You don't think about it, It's like a cow in the slaughterhouse staring out the window. I'm just going to look out the window and ignore the cries and ignore all of the evidence that I'm about to be led into a an abattoir and be carved into many pretty little pieces for consumption by human beings. We eat living things. Isn't that weird? Like, it's just what we do. And then on New Year's, we hope that we hope this next year will be full of, lots more eating of sentient beings. I'm not a vegetarian because my instincts don't drive me to be a vegetarian. My compassion drives me to be an animal lover, an animal advocate. If I meet an animal, at that point, I don't know what to do or say. You know what I mean? Don't feed me something I've met while it was alive. But, I just have my own set of instincts and drives and desires, and I think it's time to just drive this car like it was meant to be driven. It's like I'm a Ferrari and I'm driving around the neighborhood, some quiet little neighborhood in the middle of the night, trying not to make noise and wake up, the neighbors. And really, man, I just need to let loose. I think we all just need to let loose and just admit what we are, man. I mean, what are we? Are we the orcs? What if we're the orcs? What if a race of beings showed up to our planet that was just infinitely more beautiful than us, and we looked at ourselves and we're like, oh my God, we're orcs compared to these people. And maybe we are, maybe we are. I mean, we eat everything on this planet. At least somewhere in this planet, humans are eating a little bit of everything. We are having everything. If it's not human, and even then, there's some places where motherfuckers eat people. You know what I mean? You will have a hog-tied, decapitated, fully roasted body on the table and a bunch of aristocrats sitting around it carving off slices because they can. But that's besides the point. If an alien race came here and they saw us and they said, there's one race of people on this planet that eats all the other races of people, which, by the way, who's to say that alien species wouldn't see dogs and cats as people? I do. I call them the animal people. That's what they are. My cat, she's an animal person. She's not just an animal. She's not just an animal. She's a person, too. And I treat her as such. And that's why she loves me. Which I guess is a good way to wrap this up, Treat people as such, and they will treat you as such. It's an old adage. It was in the Bible that I grew up reading. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Right? But what does that mean for guys who like anal sex? Guys who like doing in the butt, doing girls in the butt. So you do unto others as you would have